Hello, good morning.
Yeah. Hi, sir.
Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I was waiting for everyone to join. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Okay. So let me share the my screen. I'll show the material what I have already sent to the admin. I'm not too sure. Did you ask them to share to your leads? Hello? Did you ask your lead for material? What they said? No one is responding. Huh? Why?
Yeah, we got materials from
Okay, what they said. Okay, fine. I'll talk to them and get the material from their end. So, anyways, I'm going to share the screen and I'll show the document what we have updated and we have designed, and everything is there in the document. And today we will discuss about there are few terminologies in testing concept, so we will discuss about those things today. Okay, let me know if you are able to see my screen. I just shared it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is a material that we are following now. So in this we are going to discuss about software testing and how the testing can be validated and what is defect and what is bug and what is software quality. If there are any minute mistakes, please ignore them. Like here I have mentioned defect or bug, both are not same. So I'm updating this right away. Okay, so software quality and what are the main factors that we are having: technical and non-technical factors, coding, testing, under testing. What are the standards that we are having as part of global team members? So 0 to 2 years experience test engineer, we call them. Likewise, we we maintain those roles and responsibilities related to QA team. And what is meant by defect reporting and what is meant by defect tracking, defect fixing and debugging. So if you remember, we discussed about defect reporting, defect tracking and debugging during defect life cycle. So that's we discussed. And software testing methods. So this is the initial thing that we discussed. One is manual testing and second one is test automation. So we can update this heading too. And as part of our course content, we are going to have this one, SDLC, introduction, roles and responsibilities, SDLC models, and testing methodologies, white box, black box, gray box, and testing levels in SDLC, STLC. These are the high level concepts that we are going to have. Let's start with SDLC. So what are the phases that we are going to have? Requirement collection. If you can go through this paragraph, it's very simple and very easy to understand what we are explaining in requirement collection and requirements gathering. In this phase, BA will collect all the requirements by interacting with the client, and the collected requirements will be documented as BRS or URS or CRS. BRS document describes brief description about client business needs or core business logic in terms of who are the users of the application and required services for the user. After preparation of BRS document, BA and management will perform feasibility study in order to check the project is acceptable or not to develop. BA will play a key role in feasibility study process and going to consider following factors: budget feasibility, time feasibility, reliability. So whether we can accept the project or not. If the project is acceptable, then BA will intimate or notify to the client by releasing RFP, request for proposal, and SLA document. So once they got signed documents on these two from the client, they'll continue with the requirement analysis, design, coding, and testing part. That's how it is going to carry. So each and every phase what I have mentioned here, if you can go through that this document, it's a very simple language where you can understand it very easily. Okay, don't worry about more on the technical terms when you search it in Google, but still, if you want to understand the whole concept of what is happening here, then try to understand the way that we have explained. And if you still have any questions while going through this document, you can always let me know, so that if any changes are required, we can do modifications. If not, it's not required for us. Okay, let me scroll down. This is yeah, this is requirement analysis, and then requirement design phase. And then in this design, we are having GUI design document, database design document, application design document, and then coding we have, testing we have, release and maintenance. We can say deployment or release and maintenance, but here I have mentioned release and maintenance. Even if you see, this release and maintenance is something where I have defined it separately. What is release and what is maintenance? What is release and what is maintenance? And then this is the technical diagram. This is don't worry about this diagram. This is just a diagram. When I have prepared that notes, I have just copied that image and I pasted it here. Okay, if you want to make it very realistic, we can design it separately. Okay, and common problems in SDLC. So these are the common problems. One is poor requirements. When requirements are not clear or incomplete, that will be a problem to develop the application. This we are going to face it in prototype model, right? Unrealistic schedule. If too much of crammed in little time, that means everything will be there in the short span of time, where we need to test, where we need to develop, where we need to fix the issues. Everything needs to be happened. So in that case, we are going to face some problems in SDLC. In that case, we are going to face some problems in SDLC. And then inadequate testing, because of time constraint or because of other reasons, we will not be able to test the complete activity. So that kind of inadequate testing may happen. And dynamic changes in the requirement. So today we developed one thing and we spent a lot of time today, and tomorrow if customer changes the requirements or product owner changes the requirements, then that will be another problem that we are going to have. Miscommunication. If client communicates one thing to BA or product owner, and product owner communicates another thing to developer, then that will be a problem to develop the requirement. So there is a miscommunication between them. And this is nothing but defect repair cost. If we are developing the application and if we are at a requirement stage, and if we find out the issues if we find out the defects in the requirements, like in the documents itself, then to modify those documents, no billing will be submitted to the customer. It will be done by the company itself. When the application is in designing phase and customer wants to change the requirement, then our billing will be 10% to the customer. Billing increase to 10% to the customer. If we are at coding stage and if there are any defects or if there are any changes in the requirements, then 30% will be the cost, defect repair cost. And if we are at testing stage and if we are having a lot of issues or a lot of changes in the application, then 50% will be the defect repair cost. So let's say if the project cost is 100 rupees, And if we are at testing phase and we have a lot of defects and we have a lot of changes from the customer, either one is fine. Changes or defects, either one is fine. If we are having such kind of criteria, then it will be 50%. That means 100 will increase to 150. It will increase 50% more. Sir, if we have both, if we have defects and if we have changes, then that will be distributed to 25%, but it will not increase to 100%. Okay. If the application is under maintenance and if we are having a lot of defects and customer is not able to move forward with that, then the defect repair cost will be 100%. Again, we are going to charge and we are going to fix that particular issue. Okay, this is the formula for defect repair cost. Defect repair cost is equals to number of persons into number of hours divided by number of defects into cost per person. So this overall calculation will give the defect repair cost. For example, if our team contains, let me check this so that you will come to know how this is going to be calculated. Okay, defect repair cost. Suppose if number of persons are 10 into number of hours are 8 divided by number of defects are 5 into cost per person. Let's say I can say $20. What will be the overall formula? Is equals to 10 into 8. Is that fine? Somehow this is the one. Yeah. It is not required basically. Yeah, 10 into 8, 80 divided by 5, 16. 16 into 20 will be the final answer for us. 320. So this is the whole defect repair cost. It might be $320 or whatever the currency that we use. Okay, so this is how the defect repair cost will be calculated, and we are going to submit these hours to the customer as well. Suman, can you please go on mute?
Sorry, sir.
Okay. So this is the defect repair cost formula. And here are the SDLC models that we have provided: waterfall, prototype, incremental, spiral, RAD, fish, V model, agile model. So this is the waterfall model. So if you can see, even if you Google it, you are going to get this image: requirement collection, analysis, design, coding, testing, release, and maintenance. One by one, we are going to follow. What are the advantages of this one? Advantages: this model is simple and easy to develop the application. And disadvantages are early stages of testing. Early stages of identifying defects are not possible due to later stages of testing. This model is not suitable to handle dynamic changes. These are the very basic things that we already discussed. And prototype model. So this is the diagram that we have. First step will be requirement collection and then analysis, and it goes for design, develop the prototypes, client evaluation. If client satisfied, go for coding. If client not satisfied, collect the feedback, refine the requirements, design, again develop the prototypes, client evaluation. If client satisfied, go for coding, testing, release, and maintenance. And below are the list of advantages. Before actual coding, we can collect the complete requirements from the client. And disadvantages are developing prototypes is the additional activity for your team and it requires more time. Prototypes are not reusable. Next one is incremental model. Risk management is easy. Early stages testing, early stages deliverables are not possible. And these are the disadvantages that we have. It's an open-ended SDLC. There is a fixed deadline to complete the whole system. Right? Even this is applicable for Agile model also. And this is a spiral model which keeps on going. Don't worry about the alphabets what you are seeing here. M1 means module 1, RA means requirement analysis, and then it goes for development, and it goes for design, coding, testing, and then module 2, requirement analysis, design, coding, testing, module 3, requirement analysis, design, coding, testing. This is how spiral model works, and these are the advantages that we have and disadvantages we have. And the RAD model, I think we don't have any technical diagram here. There is no specific advantage. And the fish model, as we already discussed about, the top activities are development activities and bottom are testing activities, verification activities and validation activities. What we have done is we marked it as a in reverse format, but here we have top development activities and bottom testing activities. Whenever we explain, anything should be fine. Top testing activities or anything should be fine. It's up to you, but overall it looks like a fish model. So that's the reason we are calling this as a fish model. And static testing approach, dynamic testing approach, what is correctness, what is completeness, what is verification and what is validation, review, what is meant by review, walkthrough, inspection. Review means peer review. Okay, unit testing, integration testing, functional testing. So here you can see all the definitions, and this is V model, verification and validation model. And this is agile model. And if you can see, this is total number of requirements. Out of that, it has been splitted into few requirements. That few requirements sorry, I was talking on mute. Okay, so this is the agile model. You can see the total number of requirements splitted into few requirements that has been navigated into implement or unit or component, and this will send for testing team. TT means testing team, client UAT, and they collect the feedback and plan for the next unit. And at the same time, few requirements, implement, testing team, client or UAT, and collect the feedback. This is the official process, but unofficially we already started the implementation of second sprint requirements. Okay, this is how agile model we are going to represent. And next one is testing approaches, exhaustive testing and optimal testing, which we already discussed. And testing methodologies, white box testing, which is nothing but statement or code coverage or path or branch coverage. Black box testing, boundary value analysis, equivalence, class partition, and error guessing. And these are the differences. And this is gray box testing. Testing levels in SDLC. We already had a discussion on the review part whenever we discussed about this fish model, right? So what are the factors that you are going to consider while doing the requirements review? All business requirements are covered or not, requirements are correct or not, requirements are understandable or not, requirements are reliable or not in terms of technology. Here, when can you say that requirements are correct or not and all business requirements are covered or not? If you are having that domain knowledge, then only you can say, right? Once you see the requirement, if you are saying that if it is correct or not, you should have knowledge on that. Without having knowledge, how can you say that this is correct and this is wrong? Right? If you have that domain knowledge, then you can clearly explain, and this is the correct requirement and this is a wrong requirement, or this requirement is having some problem. You can explain like that. Okay. And then design review, even all the requirements are covered or not, design logic is covered or not, design logic is understandable or not, design logic is reliable or not. The same points will cover here as well. And requirements review and design review, as verification, use verification techniques like peer review, walkthrough, and inspection. That means whatever the reviews that we need to perform, they are going to perform peer review. They are going to share the documents to other team members in this or other colleagues, and walkthrough, they are going to provide the walkthroughs, and they are going to have the inspection meetings, so that they'll come to know what are the review standards that we have followed and what are the updates that we need to follow. And then finally, unit testing. Unit testing. After coding, developers will perform unit testing using BBT. So whatever the activities that we have provided here. And here we discussed about statement coverage, conditional statement, loop coverage. These are all about technical thing, whatever the coding thing that they are going to perform. One thing that we haven't discussed, I think even this also we discussed, the cyclomatic complexity, which is nothing but number of ways to execute that particular program is nothing but cyclomatic complexity. And I forgot to give that formula this time. Number of paths is equals to 2 into number of conditions minus 1. Suppose if they have implemented 20 conditions, 2 into 20, 40 minus 1, 39 ways to execute that single program. Okay, so likewise they can calculate. And after that, integration testing. And integration testing, so we discussed about Big Bang approach, incremental approach. Under incremental, we have top to bottom and bottom up. So top to bottom, we discussed about stub here. You can see that diagram. Main module, when sub module is in progress, we have implemented stub. And we discussed about the driver as well. In the same format, in the reverse format, when main module implementation is in progress, driver will come into the picture. And there are two levels of integration testing. One is high level and second one is low level. If you remember, we discussed about an example of ATM mission. Suppose we have an ATM card of one bank, and if we are going to withdraw money from another bank, right? So the amount will be deducted in your account. That's going to happen. There is nothing to worry about this here. But if you are withdrawing the money in same ATM machine, automatically it will do. So integration, how two applications can be integrated, is the important point that we need to understand how it works in the real time. How it works in the real time. So that's how we are going to work. And then system testing. So under system testing, we are going to have a lot of things here. So there are two categories. One is functional and another one is non-functional. System testing, we can call it as end-to-end testing. And under this end-to-end testing, we will have two things we need to understand. So one thing is functional, how this functional testing can be carried and how this non-functional testing can be carried. Functional testing is nothing but the functionality of the application, how it should behave. Let's say there is a login page. Okay, what is the functionality in the login page means if user enters username and password, then only application will allow user to log in into the application. Without entering the details, if I want to log in into the application, that's not a functionality. That's not a functionality. That's a prototype. It's a dummy screen. User credentials or login page itself is a secured one. Without security, how can we say that application is completely standardized, right? So functionality is something like where that particular requirement or condition has to work based on the customer requirement, based on the customer need. Based on the customer needs. So during this functional testing, we are going to concentrate more on object property. This is a new topic, guys. So this we are discussing now. So earlier we haven't discussed about all these categories or all these factors in functional testing, and even functional testing and non-functional testing also, two separate categories we haven't discussed. And this is the first session that we are discussing now. Okay. So far, any questions?
No, sir.
Sir, this material already Jyoti ma'am sent to me.
To you?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. 18th December.
Yeah, already we are received, sir.
Then few people who hasn't received, they can talk to them. Okay, so if you receive, that should be a good thing. You can just go through that material and review the concepts. So there are few guys who said like, if we have material, then they can prepare something for a test case designing. So if you want, you can just go through that. And by the way, sorry, I forgot to ask that one. Except Devi Divya, rest of the people, did we completed the assignments? There are few people who are pending with 1 or 2 test cases, right?
No, sir. I already shared WhatsApp, sir.
That's fine. I am just asking. Yesterday, whoever said it as pending, there are 2, 3 there are pending, right? Few people will have. So those
sir.
people.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else?
Good
Praval?
morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, Naveen.
I have one, sir. I will submit my today. Will submit today.
So you completed or what? Any
One,
pending?
one is pending, sir. I will submit today after completing that.
Okay. Anyone else? Pravalika.
Completed, sir.
Okay. Anyone? Jyoti Bhanu Harish. Jyoti Bhanu Harish. Did you complete it?
1 minute, sir. Guys, what happened to you? Is it for ourselves or is it for yourself? Why you are taking this much of time even though I've received only 13 profiles? This assignment has given for you on Friday, I hope. Yes or no? But Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days have been passed away. But still, some of them are having 1 module, 2 modules. What is this? Please make sure everyone, by the end of the day, I need to receive all your profiles. This is for your only, I'm sorry. This is for your good only, no? I'm Okay, not ma'am. going to ping everyone and ask candidates submit me by today. I'll not ask everyone like that. Okay? Please make sure everyone, you need to submit your document by the end of the day. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
It's a simple thing, guys. So if you are not going to meet my expectations in manual, I'm not going to start test automation, because if you want to learn something new to get the job or to understand how this training process is going on, the assignments are mandatory, because manual testing is a very less subject and theoretical subject. There is no practical thing and there is no programmatic thing that you have to struggle for days and days. So it's a simple concept where we are talking, and I'm just asking the real time questions what you are following on daily life. So I'm not giving any separate questions or which you don't know at all, right? Facebook is not a new application, or purchasing a product through online is not a new application. Nothing is new application to you. Everything is familiar to you, and where you're going to use it in a daily life. These type of questions you are going to get it in the interview. So these are not any new things that you need to learn or any new things that you need to implement it, right? So make sure the assignment should be a proper thing, that's a basic and fundamental thing that we have to be very prepared for that. If you want me to analyze where you are regarding the subject, then assignments are the base things for me. Then only we'll be able to understand how it went, how you understand the subject, and how you know the things that you are going to implement. If any changes are required in your assignments, I can guide you. If any changes are not required and if you are perfect, I'll give that feedback to you. That will help you to attend the interviews, right? Even if someone wants to schedule that, we should be more confident on that particular candidate, saying, okay, this guy is perfect and we can go ahead and we can share the profile to the companies. I'm just talking to you practically what is going to happen in future. Maybe you may not think about this particular point, but still at this point of time, if you want me to analyze whether you are okay or not, then this is the basic thing that I'm very particular about the assignments. Okay, so make sure you are going to complete it and you are going to send it at any cost of time by today end of the day. Don't say I have a lot of work and I have only one pending, I have only two pending, I have completed and I have already shared. No, if I receive all the documents, or if Jyoti receive all the documents, whoever is there in this group, then only will be considered that, okay, these guys have completed the assignments. Okay, so that's a one thing. Only today we are going to spend, you are going to spend some time on the test cases, and from tomorrow onwards we'll be concentrating more on the rest of the subject, and my plan is to start test automation immediately from the next week. If you have all this pending work, simply I'm going to continue on the manual testing only. I'm okay with that. Okay, make sure you are going to complete it by end of the day and share all the documents, relative documents, to the respective lead or to Jyoti. Okay, fine. So coming back to this concept, functional testing. So whenever you are performing functional testing, what are the factors that you are going to consider? So if I'm going to test the application, so on what basis I'm going to test the application? By the way, how to test the application? How to test the application? Let me show one sample application and we'll see how this, let's go for Eventbrite only. Why we need to go for any other new application? I'm going to show you how we can test that. And okay, so let's say this is the login page and I have an application where I want to test it functionally. How to test this application? If you want us to test the application, how to test it, right? So we have few factors that we have provided. One is object property coverage, verifying application object property values are changing or not changing or not based on operations performed in the application. Let's say I have given some email address and I have given some password and I just clicked on login button. What is going to happen? We'll be able to log in into the home page of the application. So user homepage will be displayed. So what is the input and what is the output here? Input is something like login credentials that we have entered. Output is something like the user homepage what we are going to have. That means object property coverage with respect to the field. In the email address field, I have entered email only. In the password field, I have entered password only. Login is a button. I may not enter any data here. We need to click on that particular button only. So that means whatever the respective operation that we need to perform in the respective field, we need to perform that activity. So whatever the input that we have given, respective output will come. So based on the input and output, we are going to calculate whether object property coverage is happily completed or not. So based on that, we can say functional testing is done. And second one is error handling coverage. If we enter lengthy values, or if we are going to enter some unnecessary data, and if we are going to enter invalid credentials, what is going to happen? So are we going to handle that invalid credentials or not? If I enter invalid data and click on login, obviously error message will come. That has to be handled. Application should not supposed to log in into the application, right? So this kind of error handling and all needs to be performed. So this has to be performed by this type of handling and all will be taken care by the development team, and we have to test it whether that is being covered or not. Input domain coverage. Respective input domains are accepting or not. Let's say in email address field, it has to accept email only. If I'm going to enter @, let's say for example, testing @, only @ I have given and I'm not going to give any domain name. Will that be acceptable? It's not the proper input value to the email address field. That means it's not going to accept input. If it is going to accept, then that's a defect. Whatever the respective input that we are providing, So it is accepting every input instead of the condition or instead of the rule that it has to be. It is accepting all the values. It's not working properly. It's not working properly. And calculation or output coverage. This is how, if we are going to provide proper input value, then output should be a proper thing. Output should be a proper thing. Let's say if we enter 2 plus 2, that should be equals to 4 only. If we are getting 5, then output is not matching to the expected value what we are having. In that case, output coverage is being failed. And database. So this is one of the most important backend activity which is going to be performed. Maybe in the front end, whatever the data that you are going to enter here, you may not see anywhere. But whatever the data that you have entered and click on login button, where it is saving. Suppose if you are going to sign up, you are going to enter first name, you are going to enter last name, you are going to enter phone number, you are going to enter email. The details that you are going to enter, it has to be saved or stored somewhere in the backend. Otherwise, if you want to log into the application, you may not see all the details, right? So that's one of the main reason. Database is one of the basic factor each and every application will have. Whatever the application you can take, Amazon will have database, Google will have database, Facebook will have data, any application you can take, because database is nothing but it's a storage content storage location where all the data will be stored. And you have to validate whether the data is being stored properly or not. Whatever first name that you have entered in database, the name has to be saved in first name column only. If you enter last name, name has to be saved in last name column only. If you enter email, name has to be saved in email only. If you enter phone number has to be stored in phone number column only. That means database should store the data, proper data in proper columns. You have to validate that as well. And links coverage. Links coverage, it's a very basic thing. If you open an application, you should click on all the links. Let's say login button. This is a button, and then email me a login link. If you click on this, what is going to happen, whether it is working or not. And then if you click on this, it has to pop up this one. Instead of that, if you are going to see some error, then it's an defect. You have to raise it and send login link. If I click on this, what is going to happen? Back to login, whether it is navigating or not. Sign in with Google, whether it is displaying pop-up or not. And then if you click on Facebook, whether it is displaying Facebook window or not. If you click on Apple, whether it is displaying Apple window or not. Likewise, you need to validate everything, every link what is there in the application. That means all links has to be covered. All links has to work. If you click on any of the link and it is having any error while loading that, then it's an issue. Sorry, yeah, links coverage. So all the links has to work in the application, whatever the application that we are going to consider. All the links, when you click on that, it has to work. If any of the link is throwing any error, you have to report that immediately. And the next one we have is non-functional testing. So in this test, testing team will validate non-functional factors. What are non-functional factors? Anyone? Non-functionality related things. What are those? No one? No one? look and feel, all this media related content, these are not related to functionality. These are all non-functional factors. Graphical user interface, first one. So graphical user face, how this background color has to display, how look and feel has to display, how the color contrast has to display, how the color contrast has to display, how the resolution has to display, how the font size and font style has to display. So how all these factors are going to work. Okay. So graphical user interface will talk about, these are the factors I have listed down here: availability of components, alignment of controls, font size or style, spell mistakes, controls are visible or not, background colors on the screen, clarity of the image, objects like logos, graphs and all has to be visible properly. So these are the very basic thing under graphical user interface testing, which comes under non-functional factor. Non-functional means it doesn't deal with the conditional kind of factors, like if you enter valid credentials, then only you have to log in. No, it doesn't matter under non-functional testing. How the look and feel works, whether email address field is looking properly or not, whether password field is looking properly or not, whether login button looks properly or not. So basically this kind of look and feel non-functional factors are all will cover the browser related activities, browser compatibility testing, we can say. Next, we are going to have that definition as well. We'll discuss about that. And performance testing, this is also a non-functional testing activity. After functional testing, testing team is going to perform performance testing. In performance testing, we are going to talk about speed, scalability and stability. Suppose how much speed the application is responding. Let's say if I'm going to open gmail.com, within 1 second it will open. How it will open? The Gmail server is that much speed and they are having that much configuration. And apart from that, our internet speed should be very good. If you are using 200 Mbps, the loading time will be within a second. If you are using 10 Mbps, our loading time will be increased. Like the speed of the application is also a matter, and scalability. So how many, let's say, if you can analyze this point now, Gmail application. So if you log into Gmail application now, to that Gmail application at this point of time, there are some crores of people who are going to log into Gmail application throughout the world, but still it gives the same response. Why? That Gmail server is allowing that many users to log in into the application at every minute at every second. There is no restriction. That much scalability it is accepting. So, and one simple example I can tell you, if you have like Amazon membership or Amazon Prime membership or Hotstar or Netflix, OTT platforms are there, right? So whatever the membership that you have taken, they have some limitations for that. So based on the premium that you have taken, let's say if you have taken Hotstar premium membership for some amount like $4.99 or $8.99, they have given permissions to log in with same credentials for 4 devices. If you are adding 5th device, it will not allow. That means that's a scalability that they have given for that membership. That doesn't mean that server is not handling. Server can handle, but for that membership, that is the scalability. It will allow 4 users. Only 4 users has to be logged into the application. More than 4, it will not. So likewise, scalability can be calculated. Stability, even though there are n number of users, let's say Gmail application only, what we have taken earlier. So at this point of time, 1 crore people are there. Next minute, it might be 1 lakh. After that minute, it might be 10 crore. After that, it might be 1,000. We don't know. It can be up and down, but still, even though it is up and down, the number of users log in and log out is completely up and down or completely having spikes. But still, the application stability has to maintain, which comes under performance testing. Basically, this performance testing can be performed by using JMeter, LoadRunner, NeoLoad, TestLoad, Smart Meter IO, Tosca. So these are the tools which are available in the market to perform load testing, out of which JMeter is the open source tool. Rest all are commercial ones where we need to purchase the license for that. And next one is security testing. In this testing, okay, let me do one thing. I want you to explain this one, security testing. Anyone, just go through that. I'll open this message for a couple of minutes and I'll give time till 9 o'clock, 3 minutes time. Just go through this and let me know what is meant by security testing and what are the things that we are having, along with the examples if you have any in your mind. Okay, I'll be on mute. We'll talk to you in next 3 minutes. Just go through this concept what we have on the screen, security testing. Okay. Is anyone ready to explain? No? Anyone?
Yeah, may I, sir?
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, hi, sir. In this security testing to verify the functionality and end user transaction, first authorization, you can give the login functionality of any application
Okay.
to give an valid information to click on login. It is valid. It is valid. It is to privacy for the user. It is invalid. User invalid user or not, sir. That okay. Next, you can take in our net banking. Okay, the application for admin and customers.
Okay. Next one. Next one. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bala Bhargav, that's it. Any other points that you want to add?
No, sir, no, sir.
Okay. Next, anyone? Ramya. Rudravaram Ramya.
Yes, sir.
You are unmuted. You want to talk?
Sir, may I?
Yes, continue.
Sir, the security test comes under privacy of the user, sir. If user want to give access for particular transactions, then to check whether the transaction was going successful or not. So for that, as a tester, we can do security testing, sir. Who to use and whom to use and what to use the application. For that, we can use for security testing, sir.
Any other inputs?
Yes, sir. The security testing is like process of information of the system and protects the data and maintaining the functionalities.
Okay. Okay, fine. Let me tell you, if I start with security testing. Okay. So security testing, so whatever the points that you said is acceptable, but there are few more points that we need to understand how these factors can be validated in security testing. So one thing, authentication or authorization. So the person, right permissions. So the simple concept is right person and right permission. So you, Bala Bhargav, you said an example of net banking. Instead of net banking, you can just tell it as an banking application, because net banking application, you will be the whole and sole owner of that net banking application. No one is going to monitor that, right? So there is no concept of admin or there is no concept of customer for net banking specifically, but for banking application, that's a different thing.
Yes.
Okay, so that's one update from your point. And second thing, authorization and authentication. Verify the application is allowing valid users and avoiding invalid users. So that means whoever is having authorization to use the application, that means that person should have account, that person should have privilege to access to that particular portal, and that person should have authorized to access that particular application. All these factors will be considered. And we need to think about that application. Invalid users should not allow the application application should not allow the invalid users to log in. So that's a kind of authentication process that we are going to follow. That's the reason OTP, like whatever the CAPTCHA images that we need to select, all these comes into the picture because of this authentication and authorization only. OTP is one of the perfect authentication or authorization that we are going to have, authentication that we can have. If OTP is authenticated, then only you are authorized person to use the application. That's how it has been designed. Access control. So bank manager will have some set of permissions, clerk will have some set of permissions, cashier will have some set of permissions, loan department will have some set of permissions. That means based on the user roles and responsibilities, permissions will be differed, access will be differed, access control will be differed. That kind of controlling based on the privileges and the permissions, which we can call it as a right services, providing right services to the right person, is nothing but access control that we are talking about. Next one is session ID. It is a dynamic value generated in application server where users log into the application. Let's say if you log into any one of the application, today you log into Gmail application and you logged out. Again, if you log into application, one session ID will be generated. Whenever you log into any application, then session ID will keep on generating for each and every login. Sir, we are using Amazon mobile application, we logged in and we never logged out from the application. In that case, what is going to happen? In that case, session ID will be generated along with every half an hour or 1 hour, the application will be refreshed and the session ID will be refreshed, or the session ID remains same and one dynamic ID will be generated in order to track the activity what you are going to perform. Right? So how can we let's say some fraud transactions are going to happen in the market. Okay, so we are going to see a lot of breaking news in the media channels and all every day. We are saying like loan apps are going to track our mobiles and they're going to have all these things. And whenever we saw that news, we'll come to know on so and so day, so and so time, this particular person has transaction so and so amount. How they are going to get this information? Based on the session ID and cookies only, based on the session ID especially. At this particular time, what is the session ID, where this session ID has been generated, and how this particular transaction is being happened, and how much time this particular transaction took in order to complete that. So for every login, whenever you log into any application, not only Gmail, if you take any application, if you log in, one session ID will be generated in the backend. That session ID will never be a static one. It is a dynamic one. Every time when you log into application, that session ID will be there. If you log out, the session ID will be completely expired. The session ID will be completely expired. Again, if you log in, new session ID will be generated. If you log out, the session ID will be expired. Likewise, the session IDs will be maintained as part of security. As part of security. And that's the reason even whenever you log into net banking portal and if you click on back arrow button at the top of the browser, it should not navigate to login page. If it is navigating to login page, then it's an issue. It's a security issue, especially for banking applications. Make sure if you click on back arrow button, it should never navigate to login page. It has to be in the user homepage only. From user homepage, if you click on back arrow, it should never log out from the application automatically and it should navigate to login page. It should not do like that. If it is doing, then you have to report the issue in the real time. And cookies, one of the best example I can tell you is open your browser, clear your browser history, whatever the history that you are having, clear everything. Okay, clear everything and open a website, any website like Flipkart or Amazon or your Gmail application or any application. Open the application. If you load the application, check the time, how much time it is taking to load for the first time. After clearing the cookies, keep some timer and see how much time it is taking to load the complete application. Let's say it is taking 5 seconds. Let's take it is taking 5 seconds. Now don't clear the history and load the same application. It will take only 1 or 2 seconds. Why? Because the cookies are already saved. The application related cookies are already saved in your temporary folder of your system. So that's the reason whenever you open the application from the second time, it will take very less time to load. Most of the application, most of the websites, if you are using now, it will ask you allow cookies. There are cookies in this page, you want to accept or not. So like these kind of messages you are going to see. If you accept it, from next time onwards, it will load the page very quickly. That's the concept of cookies. Maintaining very large number of cookies is not a good practice, but required website cookies we can maintain in our system. Encryption and decryption. What is meant by encryption and decryption?
Encryption means security, sir.
Sorry, can you please repeat that?
Providing security, sir.
Providing security. Okay, one of the best example.
Banking transactions, sir.
Banking transaction. How can you validate that encryption and decryption in banking transaction?
Bank server sends as a valid OTP, sir. By entering that OTP, then only we will transfer amount to another bank account. For example, if we take PhonePe, we have to enter that valid PIN, sir.
Okay. Valid PIN. So maybe that is as part of security we can access security, but as part of example, maybe that's not relevant to encryption and decryption, I can say at this point of time.
Sir, WhatsApp.
WhatsApp encrypted. You're talking about WhatsApp encrypted data?
No, sir. When we open a message,
Okay.
there is a one notification, sir. Message and calls are end-to-end encrypted. Something.
Yeah, that's a correct example, but how can you see the data is being encrypted or not? If you want to test it, how can you do that?
Don't know, sir.
Anyone else?
Card and bank account numbers.
Bank account number. Okay.
Card and bank account numbers.
Can you tell it clearly? It is something, it is somehow relevant, but still I want to know more info on bank account number. Where you have
That with credit card and bank account numbers and information to private identify.
Okay, let me tell you in this same format now. So encryption and decryption, one of the best example is password entry. When you enter password, it will display either dots or stars or hyphens or something, it will display. But nowadays in the browser itself, in the same password field, you are going to see eye icon, right? If you click on that, you can view the password what you have entered. Okay, so the encryption is nothing but converting the original data into mission level format is nothing but encryption. Decryption, converting the machine level format data into original format is nothing but decryption. So password field is one of the best example for encryption and decryption. But account number, whatever the last comment that we received, account number is also one of the best example. Nowadays, if you enter account number, whenever you log into net banking portal, you are going to see, or else whenever you are transferring money to other person, it will ask you to enter account number, and again it will ask you to re-enter the same account number. First time when you enter, it will display star like cross mark for all the 12 digits, only last 4 digits will be displayed. That whatever 12 digits are displaying with cross mark is nothing but encrypted data. Even in the database also, it will save like some encrypted format only. It will convert into mission level format and it will save the data in the database. It will not directly save the original data. That's how it is going to save with encrypted and decrypted data in the database. Even when you log into the database, if you have permissions in the real time, you can see the encrypted data. There are a lot of online portals where you convert encrypted data into original format and original data into encrypted format also. You can do that as well. Okay, you can do encryption and decryption in online also. So next one is recovery testing. Recovery testing is something like, it is known as reliability. Suppose whatever the data that we lost, if we are going to recover the data based on the cookies, then it's nothing but a recovery testing. Or else another example will be, nowadays if you enter data, at the bottom of the screen you can see 3 buttons. One is save, second one is save and next, third one is cancel. If you click on save, the data will be saved, and if you click on save and next, the data will be saved and it will navigate to the next page. If you click on cancel, the data, whatever data you have entered, is not going to save, and it will come out of the application. But whenever you relog into the application, if you save the data will be displayed. That means you are going to recover the data what you have entered previously. That's one of the best example we can say. Recovery testing, the data has to be populated. Whatever, but generally you are going to see this kind of criteria in the supermarkets or any kind of shopping malls. Whenever you are purchasing a very big list of products, and one person come in the middle and they said like, I have only 2 products and I want to buy. So they'll keep your bill aside and they're going to complete the payment of only 2 products, and they'll come back to the same bill again. That means the data will be recovered what they have entered. How they are going to recover? Because of the bill number or because of some cookies that they are going to have. Next one is compatibility testing. There are 2 things here. Whenever interviewer asks you compatibility testing, what is mean by compatibility testing? You have to tell in the OS perspective, operating system perspective. Compatibility testing, verify the application supports customer expected operating system. That means all operating systems it has to support, all browsers it has to support, all network environments it has to support, everything it has to support. There are 2 types here. One is forward compatibility, second one is backward compatibility. Forward compatibility means application should support the latest version of OS operating systems. Backward compatibility, application should support the older version of operating systems as well. But here, if interviewer asks you specifically what is mean by browser compatibility, you need to talk about the browser level only. Application should support all the browsers in an operating system. Here we are having 2 types. One is forward compatibility and backward compatibility. For forward compatibility, application should support all the latest versions of the browsers, and backward compatibility, applications should support all the older version of the browsers. All the older version means how many versions it can support? Do you understand? Now the Google Chrome 49 or 50 or something is going on now, right? That means there are 49, 50 versions for Google Chrome. If we are talking about backward compatibility, does application should support all the 50 versions? Do you really think that in real time customers are going to use all the 50 versions of the browsers? No, right?
No, sir.
As part of global standards, if customer has given specific requirement, I'm using Google Chrome 45. Now the current version is 50. I want to use this application from 45 version. Then the globalized formula will be, let me tell you. Then the globalized formula will be n-5. That means current version is 50 minus 5 is equals to 45. That means from 45th version, the application has to support. If customer has not given any requirement, then global standard will be n-2. By default, application has to support from 50 minus 2, which is equals to 48th version of Google Chrome. That means application should allow the user to use 48, 49, 50. 3 versions it will allow. This is called backward compatibility. Understood?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Yes. Next one, configuration testing. It is also called as hardware compatibility testing. In this test, testing team will verify the application supports customer expected configuration. If you go to restaurants or hotels nowadays, you are going to take the bill and the same menu, whatever the menu that you have ordered, that will be printed in the kitchen as well. No need to give this bill to the in the kitchen. They already have that bill generated inside the kitchen, right? They'll just give the order to your table and you're going to complete it, right? That's how the configuration means the configuration, the network or the interaction between the billing counter to the kitchen. Look. The interaction between the billing counter and the kitchen counter. So that means bill will be generated, the menu items will be generated, the configuration between these two, the interaction between these two, the hardware compatibility between these two machines will be created as part of configuration testing. And another simple example is printer. If you want to print something, some document from your system, you can give directly to that printer. You can send this document directly to that printer and you can get the print. That kind of configuration has to be performed here. Installation testing. If you want to install any software, there is some README file inside that software folder. So as part of that README file, and it will guide you how to install that particular software. So whatever the steps that they have referred to in the README file, the same steps has to be followed and you have to install it. If you are installing the software in the same format, then it's well and good. If process is somehow deviating, then you have to raise a defect. Installation is simply how you are going to install the software without having any issues. That's a installation testing. Sanitation testing, which is nothing but garbage testing, we can call garbage testing. These are all about like extra features where the customer has not defined. We have implemented based on the suggestions, and those are considered as an extra features that we have implemented. So if we are going to test that extra features, then we can call it as a sanitation testing. Comparative testing. So comparative testing is also known as parallel testing. Simple example is comparing one application with another application in order to test the functionality. We have a lot of applications like that, even net banking portals and even online food ordering applications. Compare this application with another application in order to test how this functionality works. Usability testing. In this testing team will verify user friendliness, how this application is interacting with the users. Are you able to understand how to navigate from one screen to another screen? How this look and feel of the application, how this navigation works. If we click on submit, what is going to happen, whether it is displaying error or whether it is displaying confirmation screen. All this kind of user friendliness we are going to validate in usability testing. Next, one of the main concept is user acceptance testing. Maybe I want to continue this user acceptance testing in the next session, not today, because it will take a bit time. And apart from that, we completed STLC already, software testing lifecycle, with all the deliverable documents and all we discussed already. And we have pending with this user acceptance testing, regression testing, retesting, and 3 to 4 definitions we need to discuss. That's it. Rest of the concepts we already discussed. And one sample application testing tomorrow I'll show you. But as per our discussion today, make sure you are going to complete the assignments by end of the day and send it to the respective people. Okay. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Jyoti, you have anything to discuss with the team?
No, nothing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice day. Tomorrow we'll continue with user acceptance testing, and we'll see one application testing for practice tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.